Hi guys, welcome back to Nairobi Legal. In today's video, we're going to be discussing about money laundering. When we talk about money laundering, I want us to understand this topic in the Kenyan context. I'm going to also discuss the laws we have specifically touching on money laundering and what omissions and loopholes these laws have that make it easy for people to continue cleaning up dirty money within the Republic of Kenya. Now, before we go there, I want us to first understand what does money laundering mean. And as you can already see from your screen, it is just a process whereby someone tries to conceal the origin of their dirty money and of course make it legitimate for future use, meaning that if someone has stolen a 10 billion today, they're going to conceal its origin, make several transactions, and that money will come back into the account appearing as legitimate money they have worked for over a given number of years. So basically the objective of money laundering is to conceal ownership and origin of proceeds of a crime. And of course, as you can already see, when can you be considered to have had an intention to launder money? Remember, one way of laundering money is for you trying to convert money, and conversion could be buying property. The other thing is that you could be trying to conceal the origin or source of your money, meaning that you're going to end up buying property and maybe taking a loan, paying back using the illicit funds. You find a way basically to make it seem that you're working hard for the money that you're earning currently. So just to give you an example, I'm sure you've gone to malls and you find an expensive shop, expensive watches, and you wonder who comes here to buy these kind of items. Now let me tell you something, that could be a shop being run by someone who is laundering money, because when you're laundering money, you don't care about the profits. All you need to do is you want to make your illegitimate funds appear legitimate, meaning that if I've stolen 100 million today, I will go open up a shop with expensive items, and then you end up recording your sales each and every day. Yet in the real sense, you're not there for competition or to earn profits. Your goal is to clean up money and make it appear as though you're making all your source of income from that particular shop. So that can be one way of cleaning up money. In Kenya, if you commit any of these offenses, which we call predicate crimes, then any money that you earn as a result of each one of these offenses becomes illegitimate money. Now let's say that Okello has gotten 100 million out of corruption, and this money of course is mostly paid in cash. So Okello has this 100 million, but he can't take it anywhere. The next step for Okello now to start the process of money laundering is to make sure this money enters the financial system. As you can already see from your screen, we have the predicate crime has been committed. Now the next step is placement. How do you put this 100 million that you've gotten out of corruption into the banking system? So under placement, you introduce this money into the system. And remember, this initial introduction of money into the banking system could cause an alarm. It is a very vulnerable state of money laundering. You can easily be caught here because, if you've been earning 100,000 per month and suddenly you're depositing 400 million or 200 or even 100, of course, it is unusual. Your transactions are below 100k every single month. So under the placement stage, it is a very vulnerable stage and you can easily be detected by the bank and caught. So basically, placement involves putting large amounts of illegal funds held in cash into a financial system. After that, of course, again, currently, to give you an example here, we have mobile money, we have M-Pesa. So someone can make several transactions through M-Pesa agents and end up putting a lot of money into the financial system. So that way, that person has now fulfilled the second step of money laundering, which is placement. Now, the third step in this cycle of money laundering is called layering. And under layering here, complex transactions are done to move money and obscure its dirty origins, meaning that if you stole or rather through corruption, Okello acquired 100 million. Under this third step, what will happen is that several transactions are going to be made, meaning that you'll find that a person makes convoluted movement of money, meaning that transactions are left, right, and center from bank to bank. Yeah, you're trying to actually lay out this money. An example would be that someone makes a deposit of 100 million in UK at 2 p.m. and at around 4 p.m. the money is in Nairobi, meaning that the money is starting to switch banks. It's either being taken through Western Union, it's being paid to another account, a different account. You see, that way someone is trying to obscure, meaning make it difficult for you to know what was the source of this money, what was the origin. If the money was in Kenyan currency, someone is again changing the money into dollars. Yeah, that is called layering. So basically, it involves distancing money from its criminal source. Yeah, and this is where you'll find someone sending money to offshore accounts. Maybe you're sending your money to a Tanzanian bank account, and then from a Tanzanian bank account, that money is transferred to a UK account, and then in UK, that same Kenyan, if you are using, of course, a Kenyan account, that same money again is converted into dollars. From dollars, the money is converted into euros. You see, someone is actually making it obscure for you to know whether this money has dirty origins. So, under layering, money moves in different accounts, and remember, it can also move in different countries, and making it increasingly difficult to detect the dirty origins of this money. So remember where we started, there's a predicate crime, we have placement into the financial system, then the third step, someone is going to make several transactions, conversion of that money, so that you can actually no longer tell what was the original source of this money. After layering, the final stage in the process of money laundering is called integration, and up to this point in time you might wonder, how does integration occur? So basically here, the laundered money is distributed back to the criminal. Remember that we started out by Okello having 100 million from corruption, and that money somehow found itself into the financial system, and then under the process of layering, it was distributed in several accounts. Many transactions were made to make it so distant from Okello that he does not appear to be the original owner of that 100 million. So an example here would be that, of course, I gave you an example of money being sent to different countries, switching accounts, paying a loan here, getting a transaction here, writing a check here. So that money is so distant that you can't tell that this 100 million was originally owned by Okello through corruption. So now integration, now money is coming back to Okello's account. Basically, Okello is being sanitized. Integration creates appearance of legitimate wealth, meaning that you're able to say, wow, this man has worked so hard. Yeah. An example here would be that through this entire process of money laundering, you can find that Okello opens up a salon in an expensive neighborhood, expensive haircut, pedicure, manicure, everything is expensive, and you're wondering who comes here. But ideally, Okello is not actually looking for profits. He's making it seem that whatever money he has been earning comes from that salon, and that way the 100 million he stole initially, or rather he got through corruption, has gone through the entire process of money laundering. Now it's being seen as though Okello is making his cash through this salon, and so this money is now coming back to Okello's account. Okello could be operating an expensive shop in Two Rivers, and you wonder who comes here to buy these items. Yeah, that way Okello has employed 4 employees, and these people record transactions on a daily basis, and they sell different items that are very expensive in that shop. Of course, you wonder who actually ever comes to buy this stuff. But Okello is not chasing profits. Okello is not competing with anyone. He's simply trying to reintegrate the funds he got from corruption into the legitimate economy. So this is the entire process of money laundering. And money laundering can occur. And remember, under the stage of reintegration, you might be competing with someone who is not actually competing with you. Someone has a showroom, they're selling cars. That person is not actually competing with you. They're just trying to clean their money. Someone is operating an expensive salon. They are not looking for customers or anything. They're simply cleaning up the money they stole. and they're making it appear legitimate wealth, meaning that when you meet Okello, you're able to say Okello runs a salon, Okello has a showroom in Nairobi. So this is how this thing is done. And remember, in Kenya we have the Proceeds of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act that I'm going to be reviewing in the next video, and I'm going to point out the omissions and loopholes in this particular act. We have a very excellent act, but it has its omissions and loopholes, and this is why we continuously have cases of corruption, money laundering that head nowhere, because of the loopholes and omissions that we have in that particular act. So I'm happy you've understood the entire process of money laundering and how it is done. And in our next video, we're going to be discussing our Anti-Money Laundering Act as we discussed in the previous slide. But also remember the techniques that people use to clean up dirty money. You can find a person who has gotten money through corruption. An example, Okello has money, 100 million through corruption. Okello goes to get a loan worth 40 million. Okello opens up a salon, but in essence, Okello is not actually making money out of that salon. Okello is simply cleaning up the original 100 million he got through corruption. And so for you, you're competing with someone whose main goal is not to gain profits, but to simply clean up their illicit funds. So it's very important as you transact in any business, as a student, understand what money laundering is, just to be woke, just to understand the process. Remember that there's some clever thieves. There's someone who can be clever enough to actually get money through corruption, and you will never trace them, depending on how they're going to actually transfer this money and lay it out and reintegrate it into the system. So anytime you're competing with a business and you're wondering, he's charging high prices, everything is expensive, I barely see customers at that shop, that person may not be looking for customers or anything. They're simply reintegrating their illicit funds into the legitimate economy. Thank you for watching. These are our social media pages. You can follow them. And if you haven't subscribed, remember to subscribe. Asante.